How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. Okay, so around 1990, the NES was starting to hit its stride, and as such, a lot of sports titles were starting to trickle in on the console. Baseball titles, football, hockey, basketball, all of these different sports were represented on NES, as well as soccer, tennis. You get the drill. Well, Double Dribble had come onto the scene about 1988. It was an arcade port from Konami. And it was incredibly popular. So around 1989, I want to say, Vic Tokai released All-Pro Basketball, which was a fantastic title. And it brought a little more to the table than the bare bones arcade port Double Dribble did. Now, not to be outdone, American Sammy in 1990 released their big basketball title for the NES. And while there were some problems with it because of its difficulty and things of that nature, this game was incredibly fundamentally sound and was actually almost as good as Double Dribble was. Today's game is Ultimate Basketball. Now, Ultimate Basketball features your exhibition mode, your versus mode, a tournament mode, and a watch mode. It only featured 7 teams: Dallas, New York, Detroit, Boston, LA, San Diego, and Houston were represented on this game. So pretty much, for the most part, they were all cities that had NBA teams. I want to say back in those days, the Clippers were, or at some point, San Diego. The Clippers were in San Diego, so that makes sense. But that doesn't matter, because none of the players and none of the teams were actually based on actual NBA franchises. And this game was different from Double Dribble in that players had individual stats and things like that. It was a more in-depth title than Double Dribble was. Ultimate Basketball was fantastic in that it had animated cutscenes for both your three-pointers and your dunks, and you could actually contest. You could physically, if you had a player in range to defend the dunk, that player would be seen in the cutscene for the slam dunk to defend it. And there was actually a bit of control with regards to you actually making the dunk versus the computer just doing it for you like in Double Dribble. Now, this was something that was seen in Pat Riley Basketball on the Sega Genesis a few years before. Ultimate Basketball, its legacy is that, it kind of was overshadowed, as was pretty much every other basketball title on the NES, by Double Dribble. While Ultimate Basketball was a solid title, it was one that a lot of players really didn't remember. You can find a copy of Ultimate Basketball for incredibly cheap, as are most sports games on the NES, as are most sports games, period. So, if you're looking for something else outside of Double Dribble or Hoops, which are honestly the two best basketball titles on the NES, you should definitely go pick up a copy of Ultimate Basketball from American Sammy. It's a really solid game, and you'll have some fun with it. This has been the 8-Bit Animal. I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow.